All right, let's go ahead and get this show on the road. This won't take us long because we've covered some of this information, but we're going to pay special attention to what we've already covered. In the second half of the semester, I told you that we would start with behavior. A lot of these theorists are behaviorists. So the ones that we've talked about before, Pavlov, Skinner, Bandura, or more, even Warner. We're looking at behaviors, influence of behavior on learning. I told you in the first half we would spend a lot of time on explicit and more specifically conceptual learning, linking concepts. We're still doing that. That's why I want to go back and look at some of these topics that we've covered before. But the second half is more the implicit side of learning, not necessarily procedural, like process, like we're doing in skill, but the behavioral aspects of learning. How does that influence? We covered Warner last time, attributions. I told you that internal locus control, it's not guaranteeing success, but it gives you a better chance at succeeding than it does if you take more of an external locus of control. Gave you a common sense definition. Internal locus of control means that you feel like you have control of your own destiny. External locus of control, you feel like others are in control of your destiny. To give you an example of that, I told you that in junior high at some time, I started taking more of an external locus of control, blaming task difficulty, not putting forth enough effort because I was saying it was just difficult or I wasn't very good at it. And when I got into college, I took more of an internal locus of control, started focusing on effort, and I found that I actually had a natural ability for math. And then I stuck with that. No matter how difficult the class was, I didn't worry about those external variables. I couldn't control those. I focused on what I could control. Using my natural ability for whatever subject, as much as I had for whatever subject it was I was covering. But the one thing that never failed me, or I shouldn't say never, was effort. Gave me a higher probability of success. So even in super difficult classes, when I would hear other students saying, man, we're bombing this course, we're not going to pass, I ignored that. I just focused on what I could do. And it almost always would propel me up to the top percentage of the class. Even if that top percentage was a C, I was at least going to pass the class. So internal locus control is a way better way of dealing with issues as you go through college, in work, just in life in general. And I'm an internally motivated person. And this will lead us to motivation. You can see of the big topics, we've got observation, behavior, reinforcement, motivation, performance. We've already talked about those in prior theories, but now we're going to tie it in to this. And that's why I've underlined every time behavior pops up, every time motivation, every time reinforcement pops up, performance. Those are all topics we've talked about before, and I wanted you to see how those are connected to self-fulfilling prophecy, confirmation bias, self-serving bias, fundamental attribution error. Those sound like just broader topics, but almost every textbook that you read on attribution theory, you'll see those big four. And you'll see why they're interconnected as we go through. Today's activity is about self-fulfilling prophecy. I've been trying to set this up as we've been going through. And I told you in the first half of this semester, we could rely on mechanical advantage. You might have one team member be able to pull these skills off for you. But in the second half, it's more of a team effort. A lot of these are so physically difficult, very tough for you to pull off alone. But you're going to have to use the effort of all your team members. 20 or 30 seconds of all-out effort, and then let somebody take over for you for the fire plow. It was more physical. What we're going to do today is physical, but there's a finesse to it. But you still need that team effort to go into it. I was trying to create a positive self-fulfilling prophecy. Trying to set up the importance of team members. If you listen to that and you use your team members effectively, we might create positive behaviors that lead to success. I'm trying to create that belief in your team. And if you utilize your team correctly, this will work for you. Put your best person at the end, just like you did on the fire plow. Who is your sprinter? Put them at the end. The only issue with that is, if you had a negative outcome last time, sometimes that can create negative beliefs. I think in this class, did we have 2 groups or 1? 1? Well, let me set up a positive belief. My last class, my 8 a.m. class, that tends not to be motivated because it's 8 a.m. All 4 groups got this. And it is just as physical, but there is some finesse to it. There is a skill element to this. So not only do you have to have fitness, but that skill element, you can't just muscle through this one. And you have to utilize your team correctly in order to pull it off. So again, more of a positive belief that hopefully will create a self-fulfilling prophecy. Confirmation bias. Last time we talked about that. It's tied directly to self-fulfilling prophecy. There you're looking for evidence to support that belief, either positive or negative. If I think I'm good at math and I receive a positive score, that just confirms what I believed. Right? I'm building evidence to support that claim. On the other side of that, if I think that teacher hates me and I get a bad score, again, it may just confirm that belief. Those beliefs can determine, am I going to put forth effort? Or am I not even going to try at this anymore because you've already confirmed what I believe. So that positive belief can cause me to put more effort than I normally would because I already believe I'm great at this. And that negative belief can have the inverse effect. Most literature talks about more of the negative aspects of self-fulfilling prophecy, but there is just as much influence on the positive side. You probably watch videos on Instagram or TikTok and you talk about positive affirmations. That's really what we're talking about here, is creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you just start believing it, you'll start putting more effort and you may not even be aware of the influence that those positive beliefs can have on you. Self-serving bias is more of me making observations of myself. Now this is more performance. And making observations on what I attribute to that success or what I attribute to failure. So if I succeed at something, I'll normally say, oh man, I put a lot of effort, or I'm naturally good at that. If I fail, I tend to say, oh, it's just a difficult task, or that teacher hates me. I tend to go external if I'm making observations of myself. And the one thing you've got to be aware of is fundamental attribution error if you're going to lead people. If you're going to be a leader, it's been my experience, the best leaders that I've experienced in my career have been empathic leaders. Doesn't matter if they were democratic, delegative, authoritarian. The ones that took an empathic approach to leadership avoid the pitfalls of fundamental attribution error. And that's when you're making observations of others. If they fail and you fall into fundamental attribution error, you tend to go internal on somebody if they fail. Oh, they're just not good at that. They're just lazy. They didn't put forth a lot of effort. You ignore the external. And that's something teachers have to be really careful of. I don't know your life outside of this class. I don't know if you have kids that could potentially be sick and that's why you show up late, or maybe your work is substandard because you're distracted by life. I don't know if you have a tough home life. I don't know if you have enough to eat at home. So I've got to be real careful as a teacher that I don't fall into this trap. That if you don't show up on time, or you don't turn in your work on time, or you do substandard work, that I don't go internal on you. I always want to reflect and try to remember what it was like for me, having a young kid trying to go to school, and think, is that happening to my students? And normally, individuals where life is getting in the way, they'll correct it. It's not continuous and repetitive, right? It'll happen here. It'll be sporadic. The people that are trying to take advantage, it'll be continuous and repetitive. And those are the people that you want to go talk to and try to correct that issue. So if you have to lead people, take more of an empathic approach. It doesn't mean sympathy. You're not feeling sorry for them, but you're understanding where they're coming from. You're thinking of all those possible outcomes. Some of my best leaders, especially at the college level, Dr. Reno, the founding president here, he was an empathic leader. He got to know you because he wanted to know who you were. He wanted to know you on a personal level. Dr. Kathleen Whitson, president of Brookhaven College, was my major professor when I got to UNT. She'd already retired as president. She was an empathic leader. And she talked about big politics versus small politics. Small politics is getting to know somebody because you genuinely want to know the people that you're leading, to know them on a personal level. The nasty politics, the big P, you want to avoid. That's getting to know somebody just to cut throats and get ahead, right? You're just trying to get that ego trip of getting that top position. That's what you want to avoid. That will destroy any institution that you're leading. And then Dr. Cleary was another empathic leader. He was here, and he was a great empathic leader. More just to get to know you in a friendly conversation, but he was trying to move you up to your best possible position. Where can we use you the most so we can all benefit? So those are some examples of empathic leadership, and most empathic leaders avoid the pitfalls of fundamental attribution error. They always take in those external factors that may be detrimental to your performance. Not making excuses for other people, but always taking in all variables. And always reflect on what you went through. It's real easy to forget about your own history and the problems that occurred for you that were barriers. But if you can reflect on that and be empathic towards those that you're leading, it'll help you out. It'll help others that are trying to follow the same path. Anyway, they seem like such simple concepts. But this one element, especially internal locus of control, is the one thing that's helped me the most in life. Is when things get tough, focus on your natural ability for whatever it is that's going on, and throw more effort if you don't have the ability to make up for that. Doesn't guarantee success, but gives you a better chance. Questions, concerns? All right, for this activity today, what we're going to look at, what are your beliefs based on your prior performance, and it doesn't just have to be with a fire plow, but are those other beliefs influencing the outcome on how much effort you put in? Are they positive? Are they negative? Is there a little bit of confirmation bias going on? Like things aren't going the right way right off the bat? Does that destroy your motivation? Or does that inspire you to go more internal and just put forth more effort? So look at some of these as they relate to today's activity. If you're making observations of others or other groups, avoid the pitfalls of fundamental attribution error if they start to fail. We good? All right, let's head over there. I'll meet you. I've already got the setup ready to go. Once I get over there, I'll give you a quick demo, and then I'll turn you loose. Don't forget to do your videos today. Link them to self-fulfilling prophecy if possible. All right, let's see here.